Have you ever wondered why some people spend years surrounded by others, yet still feel completely alone? Or why someone can be intelligent, kind, and hardworking, but still struggle to build deep friendships? The answer is often far more personal than most people are willing to admit. It isn't always about bad luck. It isn't always because people are cruel. More often, the greatest barrier is invisible. It is the wall we build around ourselves after life teaches us that being open can be painful. Think about this for a moment. No one is born afraid of connection. As children, we laugh freely, speak honestly, and trust naturally. We don't worry about whether our jokes are perfect or whether someone is judging us. But life has a way of changing that. A broken friendship, a betrayal, harsh criticism, being ignored, being laughed at, or simply feeling like we weren't good enough. These experiences leave marks that are difficult to see but impossible to ignore. Instead of healing completely, many people begin constructing emotional walls, believing they are protecting themselves from future pain. The strange thing about these walls is that they do exactly what they were designed to do. They protect you from rejection, but they also protect you from love, trust, loyalty, and genuine friendship. The same wall that keeps pain out also keeps meaningful people out. Many people believe they are simply quiet or introverted, but if they are honest with themselves, what they are really feeling is fear. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of looking foolish, fear of being abandoned again. So instead of allowing people to know who they truly are, they present a carefully edited version of themselves. They smile when they're hurting. They agree even when they disagree. They avoid talking about what matters most. They keep conversations safe, predictable, and shallow. But here's the problem. Real friendships are never built on masks. People connect through authenticity, not perfection. They remember how you made them feel, not how flawless you appeared. The moment you stop trying to look perfect and start allowing people to see the real person behind the image, something extraordinary begins to happen. You become relatable. You become trustworthy. You become human. Understand this powerful truth. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is courage in its purest form. Anyone can hide. Anyone can pretend. It takes real strength to let someone see your fears, your dreams, your imperfections, and still stand confidently in who you are. Ironically, the qualities you try hardest to hide are often the very things that make others feel connected to you. People are not searching for someone who has never failed. They are searching for someone who is genuine. Think about the people you admire most in your life. Chances are they are not perfect. They have flaws, scars, struggles, and stories. Yet those very experiences make them inspiring because they are real. Your past may explain why you built the wall, but it does not have to decide how long it stays there. Every day, you have a choice. You can continue living behind emotional armor, hoping no one hurts you, or you can slowly begin opening the door to authentic connection. It doesn't happen all at once. It begins with one honest conversation, one sincere smile, one moment where you choose courage over comfort. Because the greatest friendships in life never begin when two perfect people meet. They begin when one person finally decides to stop hiding. Now, once you've recognized the emotional walls you've built, the next challenge is even more deceptive. It doesn't announce itself as a problem. In fact, it often feels comfortable. It feels safe. It feels familiar. And that is exactly why it is so dangerous. There is a quiet trap that catches countless people, and it begins with a simple thought, I'm fine on my own. At first, solitude can be incredibly healthy. It gives you time to think, to heal, to discover who you are without the noise of the world. There is nothing wrong with enjoying your own company. The problem begins when solitude slowly transforms into isolation. What was once a place of recovery becomes a permanent address. Human beings are remarkably adaptable. Whatever you repeat becomes your normal. If you spend enough time avoiding social situations, declining invitations, and convincing yourself that you don't need anyone, your brain eventually accepts that as your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who enjoys meaningful relationships. You begin believing you are simply the person who stays alone. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens one small decision at a time. You tell yourself you'll skip one gathering because you're tired. Then you avoid another because it feels awkward. Weeks become months and months become years. Without realizing it, you've built a life where comfort has replaced growth. The frightening part is that every day you stay inside that comfort zone, stepping out becomes a little more difficult. Your confidence works like a muscle. Use it and it grows stronger. Ignore it and it weakens. Social confidence is no different. People often wait until they feel confident before reaching out to others. But confidence is never the starting point. It is the reward for taking action. Every conversation you avoid teaches your mind that people are something to fear. Every conversation you choose to have teaches your mind that connection is possible. Many lonely people aren't rejected by society, they're absent from it. They never give others the opportunity to know them. They disappear before relationships have the chance to grow. Then they look around and wonder why no one calls, forgetting that friendships are built through repeated presence, not silent absence. Think about a seed planted in rich soil. It doesn't become a tree because it wishes to. It grows because it is exposed to sunlight, rain, storms, and changing seasons. In the same way, your ability to build relationships develops only through exposure. Every uncomfortable interaction is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more confident. Avoiding discomfort may protect you today, but it quietly steals the life you could have tomorrow. Stop believing that staying invisible keeps you safe. Invisibility comes at a cost. Opportunities pass you by. Conversations that could have changed your life never happen. The person who might have become your closest friend walks past without ever knowing your name. Life doesn't reward those who wait endlessly behind closed doors. It rewards those who are willing to risk a little discomfort in exchange for extraordinary possibilities. Remember, no one suddenly wakes up surrounded by loyal friends. Relationships are built through consistency. Showing up, saying yes, starting conversations, listening deeply, being present again and again until strangers become acquaintances, acquaintances become friends, and friends become family. You don't have to transform your life in a single day. You don't need to become the loudest person in the room or force yourself into every social gathering. All you need is one courageous step beyond yesterday's comfort zone. One conversation, one invitation, one moment where you choose growth over isolation. Because the life you've been waiting for will never be found inside the prison of comfort. It begins the moment you decide to walk through the door. As you begin stepping beyond isolation and opening yourself to new relationships, another obstacle often appears, one that doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from your own mind. It is silent, relentless, and exhausting. It is the habit of overthinking every interaction until genuine connection becomes almost impossible. Have you ever left a conversation only to replay every word in your head? You ask yourself, did I say something stupid? Did they misunderstand me? Should I have answered differently? Do they think I'm awkward? Hours later, your mind is still replaying a 30-second conversation as if it were the most important event of the year. Meanwhile, the other person has probably moved on with their day without giving it a second thought. This is the trap of overthinking. It convinces you that every word must be perfect, every joke must land, every sentence must be impressive. Instead of being present in the conversation, you become trapped inside your own head, constantly analyzing yourself rather than connecting with the person standing in front of you. The irony is almost painful. The harder you try to appear perfect, the less natural you become. Your responses feel rehearsed. Your smile becomes forced. Your attention shifts from listening to performing. And people can sense the difference. Authenticity creates comfort. Performance creates distance. Most people aren't evaluating you as harshly as you imagine. They're thinking about their own challenges, their own insecurities, their own responsibilities. They're wondering if they made a good impression too. The spotlight you believe is shining on you is mostly an illusion created by your own fears. Perfectionism is often disguised as high standards, but beneath it lies fear. Fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, fear of not being enough. When those fears control your actions, you stop living freely. You become cautious with every word, hesitant with every decision, and afraid to reveal your personality. Think about the people you genuinely enjoy spending time with. They aren't perfect speakers. They don't always know the right thing to say. Sometimes they stumble over their words. Sometimes they laugh at themselves. Sometimes they admit they don't know the answer. Yet those moments don't push people away. They bring people closer because they reveal honesty instead of image. Connection is never built on flawless communication. It is built on emotional presence. People remember those who make them feel understood, appreciated, and accepted. They rarely remember whether every sentence was perfectly constructed. They remember how safe they felt around you. One of the greatest freedoms you can experience is realizing that mistakes are not the enemy. They are proof that you're participating in life instead of watching it from the sidelines. Every awkward conversation teaches you something. Every uncomfortable introduction builds resilience. Every imperfect moment develops confidence that no amount of overthinking could ever produce. Your mind will always try to convince you to wait until you're more prepared, more confident, or more interesting. But life doesn't reward endless preparation. It rewards participation. Confidence is not something you think your way into. It is something you act your way into. The next time you enter a conversation, stop trying to impress. Become curious instead. Listen more than you speak. Ask meaningful questions. Focus completely on the other person instead of monitoring yourself every second. The moment your attention leaves your insecurities and turns toward genuine interest, conversations begin to flow naturally. Remember this powerful truth: people don't build lasting friendships because they never say the wrong thing. They build lasting friendships because they consistently show up as themselves, imperfections and all. The moment you stop chasing perfect conversations is the moment real connections finally begin. Once you stop overthinking every interaction, you begin to speak more freely. But there is another habit that quietly destroys genuine relationships, and it often disguises itself as kindness. It feels generous, it feels polite, it even feels loving. Yet over time, it slowly erases your identity. That habit is trying to please everyone. Many people believe that if they are always agreeable, always available, and always saying yes, they will naturally become more liked. It sounds logical, doesn't it? If no one is offended by you, surely everyone will want to be around you. But life doesn't work that way. In reality, when you spend your life trying to satisfy everyone else, you often lose the one person you can never afford to lose: yourself. Think about how this pattern develops. Maybe you learned early in life that approval felt like safety. You discovered that when you avoided conflict, people smiled when you stayed quiet. There were fewer arguments. When you sacrificed your own needs, everyone else seemed happy. So you repeated the pattern again and again until it became your personality rather than your choice. The problem is that people-pleasing creates relationships built on performance instead of authenticity. People don't get to know the real you because they only meet the version of you that constantly adjusts itself to fit their expectations. Around one group, you pretend to agree with everything they say. Around another, you change your opinions to avoid disagreement. You laugh when something isn't funny, you apologize when you've done nothing wrong. Slowly, you become a stranger to your own values. There is a powerful truth that many people resist because it feels uncomfortable. Respect and approval are not the same thing. Approval can be gained by telling people exactly what they want to hear. Respect is earned when your words and actions remain consistent, even when it isn't convenient. The strongest relationships are never built on constant agreement. They are built on honesty. Two people can disagree and still trust one another deeply because trust comes from knowing the other person is genuine. A friend who always tells you what you want to hear may comfort you for a moment, but a friend who tells you the truth with kindness can change your life. Ask yourself this question: if you constantly hide your real thoughts, how can anyone truly become your friend? They aren't connecting with you, they're connecting with the character you've created to earn their acceptance. And maintaining that character is exhausting. Every conversation becomes another performance. Every decision becomes another calculation. Instead of feeling loved, you feel trapped by the image you've worked so hard to maintain. Real confidence begins when you realize that not everyone has to like you. That isn't failure, it's reality. Every person has different experiences, different personalities, and different values. Trying to win universal approval is like trying to stop the wind. It cannot be done. The moment you accept that, an incredible sense of freedom enters your life. This doesn't mean becoming rude, arrogant, or insensitive. Kindness remains one of the greatest strengths a person can possess, but kindness without boundaries becomes self-neglect. Generosity without self-respect becomes exploitation. Compassion should never require you to abandon your identity. Learn to say no without guilt. Learn to express your opinion without fear. Learn to disagree without anger. The people who genuinely value you will not disappear because you became honest. In fact, many will trust you even more because they know they are dealing with someone who is real. When you stop chasing acceptance, something remarkable happens. The wrong people slowly drift away because they no longer benefit from your constant need to please. At the same time, the right people begin to notice you. They are drawn not to perfection, but to authenticity. They see someone who knows who they are and refuses to trade their identity for temporary approval. The greatest friendships are never built by becoming who everyone wants you to be. They are built by having the courage to become who you truly are. As you stop trying to please everyone and begin embracing your authentic self, you arrive at perhaps the most important battle of all. It isn't a battle with other people. It isn't a battle with society. It is a battle with the voice that lives inside your own mind. Because long before the world decides who you are, you have already been telling yourself a story. And if that story is filled with doubt, fear, and defeat, it will quietly shape every relationship you try to build. Listen carefully to the conversations you have with yourself when no one else is around. You say things like, "People never like me, I'm too boring. Nobody wants to be my friend. I always ruin conversations." These may seem like harmless thoughts, but they are not harmless at all. They are instructions. Your mind believes what you repeatedly tell it, and before long your actions begin to follow those beliefs without you even realizing it. If you believe you are unworthy of friendship, you will avoid introducing yourself to new people. If you believe rejection is inevitable, you will hesitate before speaking. If you believe you have nothing valuable to offer, you will stay silent even when you have something meaningful to say. The belief comes first, and the behavior follows. Then, when the outcome matches your expectation, you tell yourself, "See, I knew it." What you fail to recognize is that your belief helped create the very result you feared. This is one of the most powerful psychological patterns in human behavior. We rarely see the world exactly as it is. We see it through the lens of what we believe about ourselves. Two people can walk into the same room. One believes they are welcome, the other believes they are unwanted. The room is identical, but their experiences become completely different because their minds interpret every smile, every silence, and every conversation through different filters. Imagine carrying a pair of dark glasses every day. After a while, you would begin believing the world itself had become darker. You might forget that the darkness is not outside. It is in the lens you're looking through. Negative self-beliefs work exactly the same way. They distort reality until every experience appears to confirm them. Now here's the encouraging truth. Just as those beliefs were learned, they can also be replaced. Your identity is not carved in stone. It is shaped by the habits of thought you practice every day. Every time you challenge a limiting belief instead of accepting it, you weaken its control. Every time you choose courage over fear, you rewrite the story you've been telling yourself. Instead of saying, "Nobody likes me," ask yourself, "What evidence do I actually have?" Instead of declaring, "I'll always be alone," replace it with, "I haven't found my people yet." Those two sentences may seem similar, but they lead to completely different futures. One closes every door before you even reach it. The other leaves room for possibility. Confidence is not pretending you are perfect. Confidence is believing that your imperfections do not diminish your worth. It is understanding that you don't need everyone's approval to deserve meaningful relationships. You already possess value simply because you exist. Friendship is not something you earn by becoming flawless. It is something you build by allowing others to know the person you truly are. Never underestimate the power of your energy. People are naturally drawn toward those who believe in themselves, not because they are arrogant, but because self-belief creates calmness, openness, and genuine presence. When you stop questioning your own worth every minute of the day, you finally have the emotional space to appreciate, encourage, and connect with others. The greatest transformation in your life will not begin the day the right people find you. It will begin the day you stop believing you are the wrong person. Now we've reached the final truth, and in many ways, it brings everything we've discussed together. You've learned about the emotional walls that keep people at a distance. You've seen how isolation slowly becomes a habit, how overthinking steals confidence, how people-pleasing hides your true identity, and how negative self-beliefs quietly shape your future. But understanding these ideas is only the beginning. Knowledge changes nothing unless it becomes action. And this is where real transformation begins, with consistent courage. Many people spend years waiting for life to change. They wait to feel more confident before speaking to someone. They wait to become more interesting before making new friends. They wait for the perfect opportunity, the perfect mood, or the perfect moment. But perfection never arrives. While they are waiting, life continues moving forward, and opportunities quietly pass by. The people who build meaningful friendships are not fearless. They simply refuse to let fear make every decision. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking one small step even while fear is whispering in your ear. Every genuine connection you've ever admired started with a simple act of bravery. Someone introduced themselves, or someone asked a question, someone smiled first, someone chose to be open instead of guarded. Never underestimate the power of small actions repeated consistently. One conversation may not change your life. One kind gesture may not instantly create a lifelong friendship. But those small moments accumulate. They create trust, they create familiarity, they create the foundation upon which every meaningful relationship is built. Think about how a bridge is constructed. It is not completed in a single day. One beam is placed, then another, then another. Eventually, what once seemed impossible becomes strong enough to carry tremendous weight. Friendship is built exactly the same way. Every honest conversation is another beam. Every shared experience is another support. Every moment of reliability strengthens the connection. There will be disappointments along the way. Some people will misunderstand you. Some conversations will feel awkward. Some relationships will fade despite your best efforts. Do not mistake these experiences for failure. They are part of life. Every successful person has experienced rejection. Every confident communicator has stumbled over words. Every strong friendship has survived moments of misunderstanding. The difference is that resilient people do not allow temporary setbacks to become permanent conclusions. Remember, rejection does not define your value. It simply reveals that not every path is meant for you. Imagine carrying a key that doesn't open one particular door. You wouldn't throw the key away and declare it useless. You would continue searching until you found the door it was designed to unlock. In the same way, not every person will become your friend, and that is perfectly normal. Your responsibility is not to force every connection. Your responsibility is to remain authentic until you find the people who appreciate you for who you truly are. As you move forward, make a decision that your life will no longer be controlled by hesitation. Speak when you have something meaningful to say, or reach out instead of waiting endlessly for someone else to make the first move. Be willing to encourage others without expecting anything in return. Become the kind of person who creates the atmosphere you wish you could find. Because here's a remarkable truth: everyone is fighting a battle you cannot see. The person who seems confident may also be lonely. The person who appears successful may be longing for someone who genuinely understands them. Your kindness, your attention, your willingness to listen may become the very thing that changes another person's day, and in the process, it may change your own life as well. When you consistently show up with honesty, humility, and courage, something extraordinary begins to happen. You stop chasing friendships, and you start attracting them naturally. People trust consistency. They remember authenticity. They value those who remain genuine, even when it would be easier to wear a mask. So as you leave this message, don't promise yourself that one day you'll become more confident. Make the decision today. Open the conversation. Accept the invitation. Introduce yourself. Offer encouragement. Be present. Keep showing up, even when it feels uncomfortable. Those small decisions repeated over time will shape a future you can hardly imagine today. Because your life will never be defined by the number of friends you lost. It will be transformed by the courage to become the friend you were always meant to be.